All right, everyone, get ready because we are diving headfirst into the Roaring Twenties this time with The Great Gatsby. And honestly, every single time I come back to this story, it's like I'm peeling back a whole new layer, I swear.
It's amazing, isn't it? Fitzgerald just packs in so much symbolism, so much about society, all these little commentaries, and don't even get me started on the parties. The way he describes them is just magical.
Totally. And okay, we obviously can't unpack every single detail.
Oh, we could try.
Haha, right. But luckily for everyone listening, we've got these excerpts to guide us. Think of it like the abridged version, the notes, straight to the heart of Gatsby's. Well, everything, the hopes and the heartbreak. We're getting into all of it, the illusions, the dreams, everything that still makes the 1920s so fascinating.
It's true. These excerpts really are fantastic. Perfectly chosen, I'd say. And they don't just tell us what happened, they make you think about what it all means even now.
Exactly. And I think there's no better starting point than those opening descriptions of West Egg and East Egg. Fitzgerald just throws you right into this stark contrast. What a way to open.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like you could taste the champagne, feel the energy of those parties at Gatsby's place, you know? West Egg, brand new money, oozing out of every corner. But then you go over to East Egg to Tom and Daisy's, and it is like stepping into this completely different world, so restrained.
Completely old money through and through. Like they're almost trying to shut out all of Gatsby's extravagance.
Exactly. But it's even deeper than that, don't you think? It's not just about being showy with wealth. Fitzgerald's using these places to show us totally different values, the things people wanted in America in the 20s. Rest Egg, it's all about desperately wanting to be somebody, chasing the American dream, but maybe not understanding it. And East Egg, they've already got it, maybe even bored with it,
Yeah.
cynical even.
It makes you wonder about those parties then, doesn't it? Is it all just for Daisy? To try to show her how successful he's become.
Now that, my friend, is the question, isn't it? And that's where our man Nick Carraway comes in, our narrator. Right from those first lines, you know he's our guy. Reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope. What a line, right?
Mm,
He's neighbors with Gatsby, hears all the rumors.
mm.
But also, he's drawn to it.
He's definitely paying attention. But as you read, do you think Nick actually stays unbiased? Or does he get wrapped up in the drama, especially with Gatsby?
There you go again with the good questions.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it so good. You have to wonder. Remember when Nick says, I am still a little afraid of missing something if I forget that, as my father snobbishly suggested, and I snobbishly repeat, a sense of the fundamental decencies is parceled out unequally at birth. I mean, he thinks he's impartial, but maybe not.
Which leads us to the man of the hour, Jay Gatsby. So mysterious.
Yeah.
Bootlegging. War hero, Oxford. It's like Fitzgerald wants us to ask, who is this guy? What does he want?
And you can't forget Daisy Buchanan, the woman Gatsby's fallen for. Beautiful, charming, but stuck, right? In a bad marriage, trapped by what everyone expects of her. Don't forget what Jordan tells us about their past. He was a soldier, head over heels for this Southern girl. And then they were separated. The war, the excitations of Daisy's world. What a recipe for disaster.
Ugh, talk about a broken heart. And that's even before that green light comes in. Have you ever felt that? Like you had to try to get something back that's gone.
Who hasn't? But with Gatsby, it takes over.
Mm.
It's brilliant how Fitzgerald takes that green light at the end of her dock and makes it this huge symbol.
Totally. It's almost mystical the way he writes about it, glowing across the water.
Exactly. Is it hope? You know, this beacon that's calling him towards Daisy. Or is it more like an obsession, like he's stuck on something he can't get back? And how does that change throughout the story? Oh, so much to think about.
That push and pull between hope and being totally fixated on her drives so much of the story. Like at George Wilson's garage down in the Valley of Ashes, suddenly we see the flip side of the American dream, or really, how it fails people.
Completely different from those fancy parties and all that carelessness. Fitzgerald shows us everything.
Speaking of those parties, they're incredible, but don't you think he always wanted something else? That Gatsby always had his eyes on something just out of reach, like that green light was calling to him. Makes you wonder if he could ever actually be happy with just the parties, the money, the people, without Daisy.
Ah, now there's the tragedy of Gatsby, isn't it? All of that, the parties, the money. And it still wasn't enough. He had this emptiness inside.
Like he thought he could buy his way back to the past, back to a feeling, even though it's long gone. And as Gatsby's reaching for that dream of Daisy, for that green light, you have to wonder, even if he could go back, would it be enough?
Right. I mean, can you ever really go back? Or is it always going to be different? Remember that part in Gatsby's mansion and Daisy's surrounded by all those silk shirts,
Oh, yeah.
like drowning in them. He's giving her everything, all this stuff. but she's heartbroken.
It really gets you. It's like she's mourning him, the Gatsby she knew, the soldier,
Right.
before all of this. Like the dream became too much, you know what I mean?
And doesn't it make you think? With everything he had, was Gatsby truly happy? No. Or was he? Was it all empty? Like you said, chasing a hollow dream.
It's like he thought he could just erase everything, start over, like he could rewrite time. What if, and this is big what if he had just accepted it, moved on and tried to build something with Daisy in the present? Could he have done that, do you think?
Oh, now that is a good question. Part of you wants to believe it, right? That he could escape how it all ends for him. But Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
he seems to be saying something about the past, Like, we can't outrun it. It's always there.
Which brings us to the Plaza Hotel. Talk about tension. Everything comes to a head there.
Tom finally knows about Gatsby and Daisy and Gatsby. God, he's so naive. He really thinks they can just go back like it's nothing. 5 years, gone.
And Tom, Mr. Entitled himself, just explodes. Accusations flying everywhere. Gatsby's past, Wolfsham, the whole thing.
Don't forget that line about Daisy. Her voice is full of money. Damn. Admiration, sure, but also, like, he finally sees it, the difference between them.
It's brutal, honestly. He's seeing her for who she really is, a product of her world, her money. And Daisy, stuck between these two guys, she just freezes, can't do anything.
And that's how it happens, right? The accident, Myrtle. It's like they're so caught up in their own little worlds that they don't even see the damage they're doing.
Their world was all parties and carelessness, especially for the ones with money. Myrtle, she's just disposable to them.
Exactly. Fitzgerald doesn't let us forget that.
Yeah.
That time, the 20s, it was a mess underneath all the glitz. All about money, and if you didn't have it.
And then George just destroyed by grief. And Tom uses that, doesn't he? Manipulates him right into taking the fall for Gatsby.
What a chain of events, all because Gatsby had to have Daisy, had to try and rewrite what was already written.
It's like even if your intentions are good, being obsessed with something, with anyone, can just twist everything up.
No doubt. And then Gatsby's gone, and what's left? The mansion, the pool.
Yeah.
Empty. Nobody at his parties anymore. It's like a punch in the gut, All that, and for what?
Except for his dad, right? Henry Gatz. He shows up, and you can tell, heartbroken, but also proud of Gatsby, what he'd accomplished. That schedule, remember?
Oh, yeah. Talk about ambition. Proof that Gatsby, even with all the mystery, he came from somewhere, had dreams like anyone else.
That schedule, all those plans, it's like he was trying to will himself into something better. Classic American dream, right?
Except Gatsby let it get all tangled up with Daisy, with trying to make the past happen again.
And it makes you wonder, was it all worth it? Did chasing his dream really get him anything? Or was it all just sad in the end?
And people are still asking that, even now, almost 100 years later. That's the power of Gatsby, right?
Yeah.
It makes you look at yourself, at what you want, the choices you make.
We're back, and I don't know about you, but I'm still thinking about Gatsby, about everything that happened. What a story.
Fitzgerald knew how to write him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All that emotion, all those layers, and it's such a short book, too. It's incredible. And it's not just the characters, it's how he uses those symbols, to make you think about all the bigger stuff, society, broken dreams, chasing happiness.
Exactly. Speaking of symbols, I can't get those eyes out of my head. Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, watching over everything down there in the Valley of Ashes. So creepy. What do you think they mean?
Those eyes. Faded, staring down at all that emptiness. They're like, we lost our way, morally, like they're judging everything down there. And George Wilson, he latches onto that, doesn't he?
He was desperate, wasn't he, after Myrtle? Had to blame someone.
And those eyes tell him it's God, judging them all. And that's what pushes him toward Gatsby in the end, isn't it?
It's rough. It's like Fitzgerald saying, look how messed up things have gotten. All this money, this status, and no one knows right from wrong anymore. It's bleak. But you know what gets me? Even with everything else, Gatsby still believes in it, in his dream, in Daisy. It breaks your heart.
It's true. It's what's so human about him. He's messed up, stuck in the past, but you can't help but admire that part of him, The hope, that belief that he could make it happen.
Totally, and that's why you're rooting for him, even when you know it's not going to end well. We all want that happy ending, even when we know better.
It's what Fitzgerald does best, isn't it? He makes us care about these characters, even when they make terrible choices, when they screw up royally. They feel real.
So we're closing the book on Gatsby, literally. What sticks with you the most? Why do you think people are still reading this almost 100 years later?
I've got to be the themes, right? That pull of the past, the things we want so badly, the way money tricks us, the American dream and how it can break you. He nailed something about being human, about wanting something more and chasing after it, even when it hurts.
And that never changes, does it? It's the same now, isn't it? Makes you think about your own life, what you want, what you do for it. And that sadness that lingers, like if it's Cheryl's reminding us that time just keeps moving.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, Gatsby will always be relevant. It's about all of us, our hopes, our regrets,
Mm.
those things we try to outrun.
Gatsby was so focused on getting back to that one moment, that love, and it was gone. What if he had just, I don't know, made a different choice? What if he'd lived in the now, tried something new? Don't you think he could have been happy? Maybe a different kind of happy, but still.
Now, that's a question for all of us, isn't it? How much of our lives are we letting the past control? Maybe letting go is the answer, to
Yeah.
find new dreams, new chances to be happy. Who knows?
Wow. That's, yeah, something to think about, that's for sure. The Great Gatsby, man. Gets you every time. And on that note, folks, we're calling it a night. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Keep those questions coming. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.